Once upon a time, in the small drought-stricken village of Maidan Sabs, a hard-working farmer named Baba Ayub lived with his wife and their 5 children, 3 sons and 2 daughters. Of all his little ones, Qais, the youngest, held the softest place in his heart. Life was hard. Their wells were almost dry. The river flowed only mud, and every day he toiled from sunrise to sunset, bent over pistachio trees and parched earth. Despite the hardship, Ayub's favorite moments were with his youngest son, little Qais, a lively 3-year-old with dark blue eyes who simply radiated joy. Qais loved playing by his father's side, running to meet him at the field's edge. The tiny bell Ayub tied around his neck so he'd know exactly where he was, and the bell's gentle jingle became a comforting song for them both, like a promise of love and hope amidst the endless heat. Every evening, after long hours in the scorching fields, Baba Ayub would wrap Qais in his arms. But then the drought worsened. Crops failed, wells dried, babies in cribs withered, and the villagers began to whisper that hope was fading. One day, when the sun was fierce and the land cracked, a terrifying creature came tramping down the mountain, a dev, a demon from old tales. It knelt outside houses and tapped on roofs. Wherever it tapped, a family had until dawn to hand over one child or risk losing them all. That night, the dev tapped on Ayub's roof. He and his wife sat in the dark, tears flowing as they clung to each other. They tried to decide, to reason, to hope for a miracle. But dawn loomed, and the dev's demand was absolute. Baba Ayub drew lots. A finger had to be cut to save the hand, he whispered, knowing one child must be sacrificed. So, trembling, Ayub wrote each child's name on identical rocks, his hand shaking. He put his faith in chance. When he drew the rock, Kais's name stared back at him. The next moment, Ayub held Qais tight. The bell jingled as his wife's silent sobs filled the room. He whispered, "Forgive me, forgive me," pressing the boy to his chest. Little Qais trusted his father completely, but that trust shattered Ayub's heart. As the heavy footsteps of the div echoed away, Qais pounding and crying, Ayub leaned against the door, broken, silent, empty. Afterward, Baba Ayub sank into a grief so deep that even the villagers whispered that he'd lost his mind. He barely ate or slept. The farm lay untended. Accusations began. "He's a coward. Couldn't protect his own child," people murmured. "He didn't even fight for him." The hot wind carried their scorn, stinging just like the sun. One day, in the pitch dark of despair, Baba Ayub made a choice. He picked up a battered lantern and set out alone. Barefoot, driven by heartache and determination, he crossed barren plains, climbed forests and deserts, until he came upon the dev's mountain fortress, a bleak silhouette against a colorless sky. With a lantern in one hand and a fear in his heart, he threw a stone at the gates. The dev's voice thundered, "Who dares?" Ayub stood tall and said quietly, "I come from Maidan Sabs. I have come to kill you." For a moment, the dev laughed. Ayub could see its massive shadow, horns, red eyes. But then, the dev paused, noticing the bloodied figure before him, dust in his beard, courage in his mournful eyes. The div stared in surprise, then admiration. He said softly, "I've taken many children from many fathers, but no one ever dared to come here." His tone was almost respectful. The div stepped aside and motioned, "Follow me." In the fortress's depths, they walked endless halls, until reaching a room with a tall glass window. Ayub froze. On the other side was a paradise garden. Children splashed in fountains, chased each other beneath cypress trees. And there was Qais, older now, healthy, laughing, surrounded by care and companionship. Ayub pressed his forehead to the glass and cried out, Qais, it's me, father. The div said gently, he cannot hear you, nor see you. Ayub dropped to his knees, sobbing. Why do this to me? The div said softly, your son is happy here. He receives food, clothing, education, and love. He wants for nothing. Someday he may choose to leave, but for now, this is his life. Then came the cruelest moment. The dev presented an hourglass and laid out the choice. Take Qais home, never return, or leave him here forever and go back. Ayub stared at the sand trickling down. Every grain was a heartbeat he had missed. He thought of Qais's small face, of the jingle he might never hear again, and of the drought-stricken land where hardship waited. He thought of love and guilt tangled together. The heartbreak was too much. In despair, he flung the hourglass, shattering its glass and spilling sand everywhere. The div returned. Ayub raised his head, tears streaking his face, and finally walked away. You are a cruel beast, he spat. The div answered softly, when you have lived as long as I have, you find cruelty and benevolence are but shades of the same color. He collapsed in despair. Finally, he walked away, unable to take Qais, because staying meant life. The div handed him a small glass flask. Drink this on your way back. It will ease your suffering. Ayub returned through the hills and deserts. When he came home, his wife ran to him, crying. He could not remember the journey, the mountain, the fortress, or even Qais. When asked about Qais, he paused, puzzled, then shrugged. Who? That spring, rain finally came to Maidan Sabs. Wells brimmed, pistachio trees flourished, and Ayub's crops yielded more than ever. The villagers praised him as blessed. But on quiet nights, as Ayub, now old, sat beneath the stars, leaning on his cane, he sometimes heard it, a soft jingle, and his chest would tighten, as if something once precious had slipped forever from his grasp, but whose memory he no longer owned.